Attention. Please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
If you watch the Roadshow or if you watch the regular cut. So the regular
We saw the Roadshow.
we watched the Roadshow together.
Yeah.
You bitch. For what?
That's what I just said. We saw the Roadshow. What the hell?
I want to be with you.
He took an attack out of something that was like confirming.
Oh, yeah, we saw that together. Bitch, we saw that together. Yeah, I know.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve. And where all levels of nerd are welcome.
It's true.
Today, we celebrate two momentous occasions.
Mm-hmm.
First, guess what, guys? This is our 100th episode. 100.
Happy birthday to you.
That's a good try, though.
That's not how we're going to do
Almost
it?
there.
Okay.
Nerd On turns 147.
But also today we take a ride from Burbank to Cahuenga to Spawn Ranch to the Hollywood Hills in one of the most prolific times of Los Angeles history with Quentin Tarantino's ninth film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, he just confirmed recently that Kill Bill 1 and 2 is one movie.
Yeah, because he has the
interesting.
whole bloody affair as one movie.
Yeah.
Like a bitch. I mean, I love you, man.
Didn't he market it as the fifth? Maybe he didn't.
Whatever. Go on
Anyway.
with the rule.
Anyways.
Yeah, I'm Josh.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Ali.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation, powered by Patreon. If you are new to what Patreon is, it is essentially a exclusive membership service in which you can support your favorite creators like Nerd On.
Oh, shit.
That's us.
I'm just kidding.
What a coincidence.
You just finding out about that?
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
But,
Brand new.
How do I sign up?
I just came here
They
to talk
allow
about
us
shit.
yeah? Oh, okay, cool. They allow us to keep the lights on and keep doing things like this, keep growing. And in return, you get fun stuff like the Discord server, which is popping all the time, from comic books to gardening. Talking about all sorts of fun stuff.
And more.
But yeah, you get exclusive content that's never been heard before. And you get early access to all of our episodes, our merch. But yeah, check it out, nerdon.io/Patreon. It's fun stuff.
We did it. Good job.
Have a nice
Proud
day.
of you.
We
So
nailed
with
it.
that,
Peace out.
Caitlin, what else do we do today?
Since this is something that is completed and we can give it a rating, we're going to Guess That Grump.
Happy Centennial Man.
One was
Robin
Brad Pitt,
Williams.
one was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow, that was good.
Ba-dum-bum.
Good one.
Thank you.
Nice.
The ending was
Nice,
good.
nice, nice, nice.
Everything else was pure chaos.
On your end, yeah.
As normal. So Guess That Grump is a segment of our show where all of us are going to give the movie a rating since it is completed. So it'll be anything from a 1, because we give nothing a 0 unless you're Ali and it doesn't have Batman, or you're going to give it a 5.
True.
And everybody can give it a 5, and that would make everybody the grump. But more than
1
likely,
through 5, not 1 or 5.
One through 5 with decimal points. Most likely,
Yes.
that's me.
It was amazing or awful?
It was amazing. You decide. Terrible.
1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest?
So 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Everybody's going to give their own rating, and whoever rates the lowest is going to be the grump of the week. And even on Patreon, we have a poll.
Yeah.
For our patrons to vote for who they think is going to be the grump of the week.
They also
I'll
have
pull
a
that up after we get.
They also have a North and South Pole.
North and South Pole. Wow,
No.
amazing. No, that's not real.
No. I got it. Thank you, though.
So currently,
Since you always explain.
since I always explain, I'm going to go first, and I think it's going to be Josh.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be Caitlin.
All right.
So that's 1 for Josh, 1 for Caitlin. Who's next?
Go, Ollie. Everyone thinks it's you anyways.
What?
I'm going to go with...
What? No one's voted for Ollie yet.
I'm going to go with Tom.
For me, I'm going to guess Caitlin.
Wow, okay. I'm going to guess Ollie then.
And
on
the
Kate.
patrons vote
Patrons.
for
Hey,
Ollie
I
as
said
well.
I was going to
well.
do it. You jackass.
I actually
already
didn't
pulled
hear
up.
it, so you can say
I
it
said I
again.
got it.
What is it going to be now?
Wow.
What is it, Corey?
Josh,
You got to tell me
no.
because I didn't
Wow.
hear.
Well, anyways,
What is it?
it's Ali. That's what it is.
That's
I took
me.
it, and now I took it. So yeah, that's why I said all the people already think it's Ali anyways.
No one has told me.
Ali!
What the pitch is about. Okay.
He just said it like
I was
Everyone at
asking Corey, I
home,
didn't care
everyone
about
here
your
in the
opinion.
studio, the people at the Nerd On Nation think it's Ali.
Uh-huh.
Caitlin in the studio, people think it's going to be Ali, who's going to be the grump of the week.
Wait, but
Okay,
who,
good.
who do they think is the grump?
God damn it.
oh my gosh.
So
Moving along.
moving along to our next segment of the show, we're going to talk about the film, what we thought about it when we left the theater, what do we compare it with the other Quentin Tarantino films. So our initial reactions and first impressions, if you're across the pond, I will explain it. I already did explain it, so I'm going to go first. I mean, I studied Tarantino. This crazy thing, our 100th episode's our first Tarantino film
Yeah.
we've done on the show.
It's kind of a shame.
I studied him in school, and I always kind of felt he was a little like up his own ass about a lot of things because, like, you know, he is watched like more films than most people in the entire world have watched.
Yeah.
And most of them are like sometimes not the greatest films of all time, but he has a lot of backing in like film theory and shit like that. He knows where his shit comes from. So going into his 9th film, and the big reason why he talked about his 9th film is his big motif as a director set, his argument, his motto, his nindo, as some people would say, is that no filmmaker can make films after 9 films. After the 9th film, all their films are garbage.
Wow.
And they said like that's what turns great filmmakers into shit filmmakers. So I'm like, cool. Good luck with Star Trek and Kill Bill 3. So going into this one, I was like, yeah, let's see where the fuck he goes. Like this should be his magnum opus, right? Like his like last film. But he hasn't said it's his last film.
I read that that's what he referred to this as, like its code name
Last film.
was magnum opus.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
I mean, that's what Daniel Day-Lewis says about films, and then he retires and comes back all the time.
That was just its code name. Like most
Has he
films
come
have
back?
like a code name.
Yeah, he came back for Phantom Thread.
Oh.
Like he retired before that point, and then he came back.
Oh, I thought it was after.
But now he said he retired, so I'm like, all right, let's see what if P.T. Anderson wants to do anything.
Lincoln 2.
Yeah. So
The Lincolnator.
I walked out of the film. There's a lot of contention, with Cannes and Venice Film Festival, like kind of having weird press junkets and all this stuff. So I walked out of it pleasantly surprised. I remember watching the trailer and being like, I'm really excited to watch this movie mainly because it doesn't look like it's wrought with violence as most of his
Yes.
films usually like are part of the marketing team. Not like I have anything against violence or anything like that, but it's kind of like that's what gets you through the front door.
It was interesting to see something different.
Yeah, what gets you through the front door of this film is kind of like, oh, it's his 9th film, and also you have Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt like having comedy.
Yeah.
So I walked away like I was really impressed with a lot of the performances and a lot of the decisions that he made. And the thing I love about Tarantino filmmaking is that like for as much as I, if I don't like it as a personal preference, I can't ignore the intention he has behind his framing or the intention he has behind a camera movement versus a lot of films nowadays, they just shoot something because they know it looks good versus they know what it does to the audience
subconsciously.
watch. Yeah. The viewing experience.
Yeah.
Next.
I'll go next. I kind of had a similar experience. One kind of like baggage I will say that I have is that I'm not a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. I will watch his movies because I can appreciate him as a filmmaker, but I won't often walk away from a Tarantino film going, this is the best movie I've ever seen. But this one I walked out of and I was very pleasantly surprised because it was almost not a Tarantino film. There were some things that I was like, oh yeah, that's a Tarantino thing. But I was very pleasantly surprised and I really enjoyed it. And it was performance-wise, it was what it was about. It was kind of the history of it too, even though it's a alternate telling of the events that happened, but it was very fun to see things like Casa Vega in North Hollywood and seeing all the different spots and going, I know that place. Oh, that's fun. Like
Musso and Frank.
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
I haven't been there, but Bonnie's like, we have to go.
Well, that's the thing. Like I love LA and so there's like a little bit of LA pride anytime a movie is set there and they make references.
Yeah.
So like her saying that she needed to go to Chatsworth.
Yeah.
I was like, I know exactly what that is, and that's a bitch of a drive.
Yeah.
Like
Especially where it's located,
Burbank,
like
yeah.
the Spawn Ranch. I'm like,
because you pretty much have to
do
like
you know like how to get there?
it's a lot of city streets up in the valley, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that.
Seeing some spots that I used to live that I'm like, oh, hey, that was my apartment building that I used to live. But I'm also a big fan of like Hollywood history. like seeing just the way that it
Yes.
used to be, and
Seeing like Steve McQueen and
yeah,
Polanski.
stuff like that, and just the industry has changed so much over the past 100 years that it's so cool to see different eras, and like specifically they say that the Tate murders changed Hollywood.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like at that
Roman
time.
Polanski left
Yeah.
the country.
Yeah. So I mean, it just changed the way movies were done. It just changed the feel of Hollywood at that time. That one summer, like.
Yep.
And it's not. I'm not saying that it fucked everything up. I'm just saying that is an event that
It's
changed.
a catalyst.
Yeah.
for change.
And so it's interesting to see, because I know that it was kind of an homage to that time. That it's like, that's the other thing that I love about. I'll save that anyway. Next.
I guess it will be me.
Sure.
I don't know Quentin Tarantino's work very well.
Goddamn.
It's never something that, especially things that I've always heard. Quentin Tarantino, hyperviolence, like those
Yeah.
the two things.
Oh, this
are
is like
just
the best
married.
one to watch then, because it's
Exactly. And I've seen
What of his have you seen?
Kill Bill snippets of it. I haven't even seen the whole thing all the way
shit.
through.
Okay.
And
Did we pop your Tarantino cherry?
like for a full Tarantino
We should have
film,
had. We should have had you
Yeah.
watch some more before this.
We should have Clockwork
Oh.
Orange.
Yeah,
though.
for sure.
Oh, God. No, I don't like that.
I'm gonna have to bring out that chair again. No.
But I remember looking, because I schedule out all of my life, and when I was looking at how long the movie is, I was like, oh my God, this movie is almost 3 hours long.
2:45.
How am I going to? Okay, we'll just see what happens.
You watched Endgame.
Josh, how many times you pee?
Right, but I was familiar with a lot of it, and I was fine with Lord of the Rings too. Like
you already
those are
seen
really long
Infinity
movies.
War, you kind of know.
But I was worried about going into a Tarantino film being like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of violence, and I came out being like, holy shit, that was so good.
How long was Hateful Eight? Do you know?
I could look it up
Yeah.
while you do your thing.
When
But,
you told me, like, before we started recording, you told me that, well, that's how long this movie was, 2:45.
Yeah, we were talking about some other movie. Like, I don't know, that seems pretty long. And I was like, yeah, this was the same exact amount of time.
Yeah.
I guess it's saying a lot because it didn't feel like that to me.
At all.
That's the thing, like,
It-
when we
it maybe
finished-
felt like 2 hours.
I didn't
maybe.
even know what the runtime was going to be. Like I was like, and we were watching it, it was over, and it was like, that was 3 hours. It was like 7:30. Like, what the hell? What? That was that
Yeah,
long?
So
and it
Hateful
did
Eight-
such a good job of
sorry.
like sinking you into what was happening, and it both felt real and fantastical at the same time, and you just like lose track of your own time in the time that they've created.
In a sentence, it's a little bit more true to La La Land than La La Land.
Fuck La La
Yeah.
Land.
I like that movie, but that's okay.
But so for Hateful Eight, there's two run times. If you watch the road show or if you watch the regular cut. So the regular
We saw
cut,
the road show.
we watched the road show together.
Yeah.
You bitch.
That's what I just said. We saw the road show. What the hell?
I want to be with you.
He took an attack out of something that was like
Oh, yeah, we
confirming.
saw that together. Bitch, we saw that together. Yeah, I know.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The Hateful Eight movie, the one you didn't watch.
Oh, okay.
So the road show is 187 minutes long because there's
Okay.
a 10-minute intermission or
Yeah.
15-minute intermission, and then the runtime for the regular one's 168 minutes.
Oh, so
Oh.
2 and some change, where this is almost 3. Got it. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Because Hateful Eight felt longer,
Yeah.
even though it was shorter.
Your impressions, Corey.
So I'll save this story for another time, but I accidentally found out a while ago that Brad Pitt was one of my favorite actors. So I was excited going into this. Obviously love Leo ever since Titanic and Growing Pains, really. That's where I found him.
What's eating Gilbert Grape?
Growing pains.
Growing Pains, dude. So for me, going into this, I had high expectations. I'm also one of those people who loves reading about like serial killers and how, not in a fun way, but like it's very interesting to me. And it's why I like
Death.
Mindhunters so much. I think it's
Yeah.
very fascinating on a very strange level. I mean, it's probably the same reason people look into like aliens and zombies
Yeah.
and werewolves, whatever. Same fascination.
Shout out to all y'all who love that murder shit.
So yeah, I get along with my buddy Amanda on that. So knowing that this was about, in a roundabout way, about Charlie Manson and his following was also very intriguing to me.
His family.
Yes, his family. Excuse me, my bad. It wasn't anything like what I expected it to be at all. I don't know if I really had an expectation, I guess, but I know this wasn't it. It's such a character study. There's not much story.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. There's not a lot. There's 2 lines happening, right? There's Leo struggling with his career.
Rick Dalton,
and then there's just Brad Pitt living.
Cliff
Yeah.
Booth.
And then Margot Robbie living.
That's it. Barely.
Barely.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that a little bit.
So it's you pay attention to the characters because that's what you're given. It's much like, I don't know if you've seen The Master. Not a whole lot that happens in The Master, like that's riveting. It's all a bunch of character scenes, and this is how that
Yeah.
that and then I don't mean this is a bad way that it's a character study because I love character
Well,
studies.
it's not, compared to what we've been talking about for the last movie madness that we've been going through. Like a lot of it's been hero films, not even superhero
Blockbusters
films.
and-
Like just the heroic journey of like, this happens and inciting action, and then you must defeat the villain at the end. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's
This
a
is
human
like,
condition. Like
this
just,
is like a storyline based on experience.
It's basically about two friends going through something.
Yeah.
and
from
it's not
different points of
necessarily
view.
the
Here,
best
sum up.
parts of their life.
Yeah.
Like,
It's at the kind of the end of their what they think is the end of their
Run.
And really, it's the biggest night of their life. I walked out. I loved it. I am a big Quentin Tarantino fan. Reservoir Dogs is probably in my top 5, maybe top 10, but I would think top 5 favorite films of all time.
Wow.
The way, I mean, Tom can attest to this. I'm in love with his dialogue. When I write, I absolutely try to emulate that interest. I think interesting dialogue is such a fascinating thing to me.
In a weird way, it's more realistic than
Yeah.
a lot of other things. Like I was watching an essay review talking about like the dialogue that he does compared to like Fargo, the Coen brothers.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
Coen brothers, no one actually ever talks the way they talk.
right.
And then Tarantino, people talk the way they talk.
So like I am a big believer in the show don't tell, but I am also a fan of telling as well. I mean, obviously big information can't be hidden in those scenes, but you can find out a lot about a character. So like I don't know who here has seen Reservoir Dogs.
tipping.
yes.
Tipping. Oh my god, that fucking scene is amazing. And you know everything you need to know about that character in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Mr. Pink.
So this didn't quite have as much of that like really witty Quentin Tarantino dialogue, but it had precise dialogue and had very
Right.
important,
Purposeful
Yes.
dialogue.
purposeful character building dialogue.
Which is a little bit more my strength.
And I left in such like almost a stupefy when I left. Where I was like, man, I have to digest a lot of that because the last 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes, is a lot. It flips the entire movie
Yeah.
I thought I was watching on its head, and I'll go into that a little later. But I left very happy. I
Yeah.
will say that. I was not. I don't think I've ever gone to a Quentin Tarantino premiere and been let down, and that still stands true.
Right.
Ali. Baba.
I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino. Huge fan of Kill Bill 1 and 2. Haven't seen.
Oh, strong female character that kills people. Big surprise.
I wonder why. So I love Quentin Tarantino because it's entertaining. It's fun. It's hyper realistic, but those are the fun things about it, I think. And again, his dialogue and all that stuff. So going into that, I was kind of, again, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know much of a plot. I was like, maybe it's going to be like a fictional biopic kind of thing. But then I was like, this is like slice of life Hollywood, and I really dug it. I sunk in, and it was filled with like a lot of great small things, small moments that I appreciated. And it's completely subverted my expectations for what the kind of movie would be until the very end.
Like, oh, there's
Yeah.
Tarantino.
And I was like,
Oh.
there's a Tarantino I know. But it just made me really appreciate him more as a filmmaker in totality or whatever, because of his shtick is not just the hyperviolent stuff. It's the really interesting character dynamics. It's
The shot compositions.
the sh-
I think this
right.
is maybe one of his most beautiful films
right.
he's
It
ever made.
looked incredible.
Yeah.
And didn't have any N-words in there. Good
Not a
job.
single one.
Good
Wow.
job.
And I was like, it's okay to just cut to Margot Robbie just being a neighbor, folding her clothes, and like nothing to happen to her. And I'm like, maybe that's okay because that's like realistic.
Well, this this subverted my expectations so much that there were scenes that I would sink in my seat because I was getting ready
Almost
for like
every
a
car-
Tarantino moment.
Almost every
and it
driving
didn't
scene.
happen, and I was like,
The first couple of driving scenes, I was very anxious because of that. Because I was like,
Oh, it's gonna happen.
someone's gonna like, tailbone him,
T-bone.
T-bone him, whatever.
Tailbone.
Tailbone.
Freak your milk and
Someone's
tailbone
gonna
people.
break his tailbone.
Someone's gonna milk bone him, and and
I like wishbone.
but no, it didn't happen. I was like, this is cool. We're just driving through, listening to music, and like I'm down.
I'll have snippets about that. To
So
talk
yeah,
about.
enjoyed it. It was a good time.
So cool. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen,
We like
boys
the
and
movie.
girls, everyone in between and outside those spectrums. Those are our impressions.
Also, big fan of
Never mind,
Brad
here you
Pitt and Leo DiCaprio, so that doesn't hurt. And Margot Robbie.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys. I'm kidding. So that would bring us later to our brief synopsis production. Then we get to the meat and potatoes of the show, which are
doing the
favorite
briefs?
parts. I'm doing the brief synopsis.
Let's do
So
Oh boy.
we start with an interview of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth doing talking about their show, Bounty
Law.
Bounty
and it's like
Law.
all shot in 4:3 aspect ratio and in sepia or gray, black and white, whatever the fuck you want to call it. About like their dynamic of him being Leonardo DiCaprio's character being an actor and Cliff Booth being the guy who carries his load. And we follow Rick Dalton through kind of the life and times of being an
After
actor.
that show.
Yeah, after that point of being an actor and trying to make his way into the film world. And we find out that Rick Dalton can't drive anywhere because he lost his license, and Cliff Booth drives him around and has his car.
He's done film. It's just that he's becoming washed up. He's
Yeah.
not being cast in
He
parts
can't make the
anymore.
transition.
Yeah.
And so we get Cliff Booth, who pretty much like drives him around and does a lot of his like errand boy shit because they're kind of a tag team duo, and Cliff Booth's a good friend. We also find this weird love triangle between Sharon Tate and Emil Hirsch's character. I forget his real name, Jay Sebring, I think.
Yep. Sebring.
And how she's married to Roman Polanski and left America to make a film with Roman Polanski, and she lives next door to Rick Dalton, Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And so throughout the film, we'll see Cliff and Rick Dalton's, day or night and all that stuff, but we'll get Sharon Tate's experience of her film career picking up. From her being trained from Bruce Lee to do action films or to do action sequences, and then watching herself in the movie theater, X, Y, and Z. And we also get their like little parting high life and all that stuff. But throughout the point, Rick Dalton's having that trouble of like becoming washed up, finding less
He's
value
getting
in
cast
himself.
as more and more villains for new and up and coming
And
stars to fight.
This is highlighted from the very beginning with Al Pacino's introduction, talking about like, hey, they're bringing you in at the end of every episode as the villain, and now you're just going to become
Kind of
this
like
guy.
where your career goes to die.
You're just becoming this guy who everyone beats up. You're not the new hero. You're the villain because you were the old hero. And he's a bunch of pilots and TV shows that he's been a part of, but they're not really doing enough for him. And so he has that actor anxiety and everything like that. And Cliff Booth happens to walk around and see the life of LA and sees some of the imprints of the Manson family. So from Hitchhiking Girls to going to Spawn Ranch and to trying to visit people who he worked with in the film industry and seeing how they're getting kind of affected by the whole Manson family lifestyle. And it all ends in a great bloody fight sequence.
a la Tarantino
Style. Where the film ends with Rick Dalton, at his house next to Sharon Tate, and she's not dead. Spoilers,
Yeah, it's an
everyone.
alternate
In fact-
where Cliff Booth goes to the hospital, and at the end of their friendship, because months have passed, and Rick Dalton has made
Actually,
spaghetti western films.
I would say it's the beginning of their friendship.
We don't know. It's a fictional story. We'll find out.
Yeah, I guess what I got from that is that's where Leo sees him more than just someone he works with.
His driver.
That's his actual friend now.
Yeah.
Because of that one line.
What? I'll come with you. I'll leave. He was about to leave his wife.
No,
alone
he says,
a bit.
"You're
Yeah.
a good friend."
You're a
He's
good
and
friend.
he says, "I try."
I try. And he's gonna go visit him with bagels in the morning.
And throughout
So cute.
at the beginning of the film, Rick Dalton's like, "Oh my god, I live right next to Roman Polanski, one of the greatest directors of all time." It's like, I'm just one pool party away from meeting him. And then finally, this event gets him to meet Jay Sebring, who is in love with Sharon Tate.
There was
and
kind of
also
a
there.
pool party. I'm just kidding.
It was. And then he gets invited.
there was.
No.
He had his own pool party. That shit was fire.
It was lit. It was lit.
No.
And some people got smashed.
Oh, Lord.
So it ends up leading with Rick
We
Dalton's
should can
character
this bit.
God.
going to Roman Polanski's house, and it ends. There's credits.
Yeah. He gets invited up to meet Tate and
Cool.
all that. Good job. All right. So
30 seconds.
production side of it, distributed by Sony Pictures. Director Quentin Tarantino.
Wow.
Really?
Huh.
No, he's known for Reservoir Dogs, Inglourious Bastards, Kill Bill, a bunch of other films. He also wrote From Dusk Till Dawn.
No, keep going.
So I'm just
I'll
going to
have
throw
those.
that in there. Okay, I'll keep it in there. Produced by David Heyman, Harry Potter films, Gravity, Paddington.
That's Josh.
Huh?
That's Josh's favorite movie.
Apparently, because I said I like that movie. That's
Yep.
my boy.
If you like it, it's your favorite.
Do you not like Paddington? Is that
No,
what
I'm
you're
just
saying?
kidding.
No.
So you heard it here first. Josh doesn't like
So
Paddington.
Josh hates Paddington, everyone. what you
Also
get, Josh.
produced by Shannon McIntosh, who produced Tusk, Meet the Blacks, another Tarantino films. Also produced by Quentin Tarantino, Planet Terror, Iron Monkey, My Best Friend's Birthday, Screenplay, Quentin Tarantino, True Romance.
Romance.
It's about a
Romance.
room who falls in love with another room.
It's
Death
called Mance.
Proof, Natural Born Killer. Cast: Brad Pitt from Seven and
So 7.
Burn After Reading, the Ocean series, and Fight Club. Leonardo DiCaprio, The Departed, Django, Wolf of Wall Street, and Titanic. Margot Robbie. I'm just adding ones on there, by the way.
Yeah,
for
I
those
do
of you,
3
Those of you at home.
because it goes long.
Margot Robbie, Suicide Squad, Focus, Wolf of Wall Street, Al Pacino, Heat, Insomnia, The Godfather, Devil's Advocate, Timothy Olyphant, Live Free, Die Hard, Girl Next Door, Hitman, also Santa Clarita Diet, which is amazing. Emil Hirsch, Girl Next Door, Lords of Dogtown, Speed Racer, Bonnie and Clyde TV series. Michael Madsen, Reservoir Dogs, who's just steals the show in that movie.
He's
Also,
Tarantino's boy.
He's his boy.
Also, his car stars in this.
Does it really?
The Cadillac is
his?
car.
That's Michael Madsen's?
Yeah.
Woo! Girl, look at you. Sin City and Species, Dakota Fanning, Man on Fire, I Am Sam, War of the Worlds. Shout out to Dakota. We met her once at a coffee shop. She was very nice. Austin Butler, Shannara Chronicles.
Shannara Chronicles.
I don't
Yeah.
know what that is.
It's a TV show.
Yeah.
I like it. Yoga Hosers, which is Kevin Smith's, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You skipped Kurt Russell.
I
You fucking buried the lead.
got this. The Carrie Diaries, Bruce Dern, Nebraska, Cowboys, The Burbs, Luke Perry,
In his
R.I.P.
final film.
From Beverly Hills 90210, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 8 Seconds, and my personal favorite, Kurt Russell from The Thing, baby. Big Trouble in Little China. I'm not even reading what you put. Guardians of the
No.
Galaxy 2,
Ever.
Hateful Eight, and Stargate. Budget is $96 million. So far, opening weekend has grossed 40.4 as of right now.
Oh.
Million.
Nice.
Rotten Tomatoes score 86 for critics, audience 73%.
How about the runtime?
Wow.
For when it was released?
Sorry, I did skip a line. Runtime 161. Released July 26, 2019.
So it's shorter than Hateful Eight by
Yeah.
7 minutes.
I don't know why I did my math so poorly.
I don't know why either. I didn't want to stop you when you guys were all time. I was like, I'm gonna let you.
You
guys read
should
that.
have, because that was embarrassing.
No, you guys should read.
Favorite parts?
The movie.
So the funny thing, the end. We'll just talk about the end a little bit. Ultra violence. I never want to fucking cross Brad Pitt ever, because it made him look like he could probably rip out Captain America's heart in an instant. But it actually reminded me a lot of Pulp Fiction, where with the sequence between Uma Thurman and John Travolta, where it's like a benign kind of night, some little like embarrassing moments happen, and then fucking super intense, like putting adrenaline in someone's heart because they have a fucking OD moment. I was like, holy
She thinks
shit.
it's coke, but it's heroin. and-
Yeah. Which I really just love the juxtaposition of that being like the the
And he's on
final
acid.
moment. Yeah,
He's laughing through the whole thing. I know you.
but also like the whole just
Rex.
bam, just boom,
Yeah.
boom, all the dog stuff, and then
So good.
I really was dreading that moment because I knew it was going to happen. I knew like, fuck, this is where the murder is going to start happening. And I love these characters. At this point in the film, I was like, no one deserves to die. They might be a little shitty here and
Because
there.
we see him kind of struggle through the whole thing.
Yeah, but they try to be
Or be good.
They try to be somewhat
Right.
good people,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yeah.
like Tarantino films try really hard, not try really hard, but they do really well to embellish the bad qualities of humans. And this film was like they'd have done bad things here and there.
He likes
They-
underdog stories.
yeah, and
Flawed characters.
This allowed them to be like, hey, they're not perfect, but they're good. And I was like, I really don't want these people to die now.
Yeah.
And then
Especially Cliff. You're like, why? No, don't kill
Yeah.
Cliff and
And-
the dog.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then it clicked when it started happening. I was like, oh, he's on acid and stuff. I was like, also at the beginning of the film, they showed the sequence with Leonardo DiCaprio being the Nazi burn with the flamethrower. I was like, oh shit, Inglourious Basterds ended with us killing Hitler.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Burning
oh,
Hitler
fuck.
alive. Yeah.
He's like, this may be completely different. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be great.
For me, I loved that. I mean, the can throwing
Oh
the
my
can was
fucking
my
God.
favorite part of the whole movie. That
The
made,
entire theater.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it was so slapstick that I couldn't
Yeah.
help but love it. But like that, the thing I love about that scene mostly is that this whole movie subverts your expectations twice, right? Or at least it did for me. So when I went in here, I thought we were getting a story about the Tate murder from a third party perspective, the people who live next door to Sharon Tate. Like I thought that enough was an interesting concept alone. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. How did it affect the rest of Hollywood?
Yeah.
And then when Rick went out and yelled at them, and I was like, oh no, this is Tarantino's universe, right? Where we burned Hitler alive in a movie theater. So what if they're the ones who get murdered? This whole time we've been watching a first person experience for this. And I was like, oh my God. And then they subvert the expectation a second time where nobody gets murdered.
Yeah.
Except for the murderers.
Except for the murder.
So
Hippies.
I thought that was such an impressive bit of writing that that's what I left the theater talking the most about. And I was like, I think that's part of the reason I don't remember what my expectations were, because I thought it was a completely different
it
film.
just slapped
Yeah.
you with a different.
Yeah, it was just, by the way, you thought it was this? Wrong. wrong again, like real quick.
Wrong, bitch.
And that doesn't happen to me very much in cinema anymore. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a lot of other favorite parts, but let's go around the table.
I really enjoyed. There's a sequence in which, so Rick Dalton finally gets cast as something that's kind of like serious for him. He gets to kind of act. Yeah.
Oh, that was Dakota.
And he's getting prepared for it and everything. But there's this, I love scenes within a scene.
Yeah.
And they're playing the scene out, and then it's like that line, like they break it, and you're like, what? But the next thing, and pulling back the veil a little bit, is when he goes into his trailer and he's he's having this conversation with himself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it gets so really, really heavy. But I was like, I mean, I haven't gone to that level, but I've had those conversations with myself, and I'm like,
stop drinking.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, way to go.
Yeah.
Thanks, other Josh. You know, it's like, and I just watching like pretty much that whole sequence of him filming that movie,
Yelling at himself in the mirror.
yelling at
too.
himself, talking to the little girl.
I'll blow your brains out tonight if you don't get through this.
But then the thing is, he looks at the mirror, but it's spiking the camera.
Yeah.
So he's looking
Yeah.
straight through the barrel of us. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And then like, it's just the whole sequence of that film within a film of him being kind of respected on set. And he's like, after he's felt so washed up and all of us, and this could be like, we don't know, of course, but this could be like an Oscar-worthy thing for him. Like all of a sudden gets this great acting role. And it was just, as an actor, I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like just to see like,
He can dance for grandma.
he can dance for grandma.
I thought the scene with him and the little girl was phenomenal.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
describing the book, and then
Oh,
it starts
yeah.
realizing it's about himself. And
My favorite part of that is the shot over his shoulder, because it's the longest shot in the scene.
which one?
It's the shot over the shoulder where they're having the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And she still have the book over. In
Oh
her
yeah,
hand.
yeah.
And it's like, not a lot of films do that anymore. A lot of films just like, hey, let's cut it all
It's
as
the one
much.
where he's telling the story.
Let's
of what's happening.
let's throw all the fucking coverage we can in it to show that we got it. And then it's like, no, you don't need it. Just fucking do the one dialogue scene, and then you'll get the performance out of it. It's magnitude of a director's caliber to be like doing that kind of shit, where it's like no other director doing that right now because studio mandate.
Yeah.
Also, the shot of them of him and Justified guy.
Oh, Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy
Olyphant.
He's
who I
Deadwood guy,
love.
but he's a Live Free Die Hard guy.
That's true.
Santa
Either
Clarita
way,
Diet guy.
the scene with them like acting, and then him that whole line thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was all. I think I'm pretty sure that was all one shot. Like it was like
And they clicked.
single take,
Oh.
move the camera
Oh.
around his head.
No, they
Like
cut.
it's still.
Oh, that
did they
part?
They cut.
cut? Oh, okay.
No, he's talking about the
Talking about the movement
one.
around Timothy Olyphant's head.
Where they reset the
Oh,
shot.
yeah,
so they
reset
move
the shot.
camera back.
Reset.
That
I
was
thought you were
one
talking about
shot.
the beginning.
and
Yeah,
then they went
Yeah,
back.
that's
So like they did 2 takes, like but within like one shot. I thought that was.
It was
pretty
really well done.
Yeah.
What?
no, nothing.
One shot?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we
What was that?
tried to do a one shot.
We didn't try it yet. We were
nailed
talking
it.
about it.
We nailed a one shot. We
I
did
read
a one
that-
shot sketch.
I read that assembly on this movie only took 4.5 hours.
What?
And I was like,
It's a shot in the back lot on an actual
really?
back lot.
That
Like,
sounds amazing.
What?
That's,
Well, that's
they
first
must have they
assembly.
must have had to really know like,
The editor.
okay, this goes,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, the thing about Tarantino is that he started a little like, Harvey Keitel caught him his like real big like financial push, but he's been writing films for a while, and like he works a lot with the editors.
Yeah.
And like editors and him have had
He also
arguments.
knows what takes he wants to use.
Yeah.
Because he has a saying, and I was actually reading different audition processes for this movie, and I can go into a little bit about that
Talk about it.
if we'd like after we get through the favorite parts.
Never
but
mind.
one of the things they mentioned, and your friend also mentioned this about the saying on set, where
Who
he
the
has
fuck's
a
my
rule-
friend?
Didn't you say your friend worked on Hateful Eight?
Oh yeah. I got you.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
I was
'Cause
like,
you didn't start with like Hateful Eight. I'm like, I know someone.
your friend who worked with Quentin Tarantino, and then one of the actors was talking about it. He goes, he always gets the shot he wants, and we do one more. Why? Because we love making movies,
films.
and all the people on set have to say it, and then they do
Wow.
one more take. So he knows the take he wants, but he goes, "I'm gonna do one more just in case maybe that's the one." So I
Yeah.
think he marks and
Yeah.
sends it off and goes, "These are the takes I want," and then
Wow.
it's up to the editor.
so
to
he's
piece them together.
organized.
Yeah,
Very
I love
he's
that.
efficient.
Well,
as
no,
fuck.
he's purposeful.
Professional director.
He's intentional. He's not throwing things at the last minute. He's like, these are the shots that I need.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very evident. Watching.
Like Kevin Smith also has spoken about that, where he's like on Supergirl, and then he knows like this scene will get cut. It's like I'm not going to shoot it, and because he's an indie filmmaker, he's like I write and direct my own shit, so
Because
I
he
know
wants
what
to
I'm
get people also kind of like thinking for the people that work for him, like, how can I get everybody to go home?
Out.
It's like, if I got it, why do I need to do
Yeah.
more
Saves
coverage?
money.
well,
Yeah,
like even
saves-
nowadays, like when I watch like deleted scenes for anything, you kind of immediately know why it was cut. And so I feel like if you're a seasoned writer and filmmaker, you kind of know what's going to get cut
Yeah.
ahead of time, and you can
Especially
avoid
an
those kinds of
editor.
things.
Favorite
Yeah.
parts for you, Caitlin? The violence?
No.
The scene in which
No.
Brad Pitt takes his shirt off?
No.
No?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That
No.
was the for
'Cause
me.
it
I
was,
like-
it
I
really
liked-
was.
I like the feeding the dog scene.
Oh, the
yeah.
first one?
In the trailer. Like, I also really liked
Is that a wine?
showing the gun on the table in his trailer.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but my brain was like, went back to the whole don't show a gun if you're not going to use it, which he didn't end up using it, but he ended up being the weapon.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well,
So it was
well,
like-
so that rule would be it's fine if it's like a off to the side kind of thing because it wasn't just a
Right.
shot of a gun.
Right.
Usually that only applies to like let me show you a close up of this gun
Right.
and then don't use it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
but
like-
was
but
more
I
like,
like the
here's the
analogy
apartment,
for it.
here's the
Well, it's
trailer.
Yeah.
production design.
and they did that with the flamethrower as well. Like they showed it way back in the beginning. Like everything was so
They actually showed
woven.
it twice. They show it in the shed as well. When Brad Pitt goes to get the tools,
Oh really?
it's behind him the whole time on the
Oh,
road.
yeah.
I had never.
So it's foreshadowed
that.
twice.
Huh. But yeah, they wove everything together so well.
Purposeful.
It was very purposeful. And at the very end, when it had that once upon a time in Hollywood, everything that had happened, my brain was just going, yeah, that would happen here. That would 100% happen in
Hollywood
LA.
Hills, baby.
100% happen. I also really liked when Cliff and I cannot remember his name, Rick got
Rick
out of the car and their shoes were showing of like,
Oh.
oh, you
yeah.
got
And
these
but
really
you also
nice
see the pants,
shoes
too.
and the pants. They had like really nice shoes and then like the moccasin type like shoes.
That looks so comfortable.
And they look really comfortable. But just that told you a lot about
One's
the
got
different
jeans,
lives
one's got,
that they lead.
and
pleated
different
pants.
personalities.
Very
like,
different personalities.
He's, I mean, Cliff is just such a
Good-ass
doesn't
dude.
give a shit.
He's so cool.
and
Yeah.
he's just so cool.
But
guy.
he's
So fucking
such
fly.
a good ass dude.
Yeah.
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 It does
Talking to George. Just wanted to check in on you, George.
it does make me wonder about what happened with his wife.
Oh, he
'Cause-
shot her.
Right.
did.
But no, I know that part. Like he definitely shot her, but,
But if it
who
was on
knows if
purpose
it
or
was
not.
like a on purpose or she like
Because she's also talking about how big the waves are and stuff. So I'm wondering if it like hit and then that's
then
what
he
happened.
drunk.
like
I just love
touched
that
it
the last shot is him,
Him
aiming a
aiming.
harpoon
and right at her.
Not
her
even aiming,
stomach.
but he is holding it with it facing
with a
her.
very
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like one finger move away from making
Yep.
it happen.
Yeah. I also I really enjoyed watching Sharon go into the movie theater and like
Oh,
listening
yeah.
for all the reactions of when she's on screen because I've 100% done that.
Yep.
Either with like Little Witch when we watched it with some friends. I was like waiting for anytime I was voicing something, being like, "Well, are they laughing? Did I sound good? Are they gonna be like, eh?"
I would have been funny, like, oh, this is really good. He's like, that's me. I was like, no, it's not.
Oh no,
That's a lot
no.
of classic Tarantino feet shots in the theater. as
So
well.
many
Yes.
feet.
He loves feet. He loves lady
That's
feet.
saved for
Do you know where
Cole.
that scene came from? The movie theater scene? He did that with his own film. He did that with Reservoir Dogs, and then
Interesting.
Pulp Fiction was coming out at that point, so he was already getting like pretty popular. And he went to a theater, and he's like, "Oh, they're still showing Reservoir Dogs," and he was on a date. And then he asked, like, "Hey, can I just go in because this is my movie?" They're like, "Who are you?" I was like, "This is my movie."
Oh right, and,
And
he had like fans come
yeah,
up and,
then he
get
was
stuff
asking people
signed.
to take pictures. And I was like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Those are his fucking fans." So I was
Awesome.
like, so like having Sharon Tate do that, it's like a little interesting.
And she was just coming up at
Little
that
nod.
time.
Yeah. And the reasons why, like, what I talked about earlier, how like there was a lot of weird press junket stuff. So one of the main things I'll just
Sorry.
talk about or mention it. It was kind of played with this weird energy and vibe that like a reporter asked, like, why is Margot Robbie, who's one of your stars, like have such little dialogue for being one of the stars of your film? And it's like, do you not like women, X, Y, and Z? And he's like, I reject your thesis and all that stuff. And the way Margot Robbie articulated it, and which I liked how she did it, because like it's hard for him to kind of have to defend himself and put the Band-Aid on. She said, when I read the script, Sharon Tate was the heartbeat of the film. So every time she was on frame, the next scene would talk about like another moment in the entire story. And so she was the kind of grounding root of like, what is reality? Because all the other,
I mean,
Cliff and Rick are fictional characters.
It's really interesting because the whole movie takes place, most of the movie, not the whole movie,
Like a few
because it
days.
takes over place of 6 months, but they only show 3 days of the whole film. The first
Few
introduction
days
we
of
get
February.
is that meeting with Al Pacino, and then the next day is 90% of the film, and then it's the 6 months later flying back from doing
Night
all the
of.
yeah.
Night of.
So it's really, it doesn't feel that way, but it's just 3 days,
Yeah.
which is really fascinating to me.
What about you, Ollie? Your favorite parts?
Next.
My favorite parts was definitely the trailer scene of him yelling at himself. I love that.
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna stop drinking. Starts drinking out of the flask.
I really liked the tire change scene.
Oh,
I
yeah.
ate it up. Like the way he's like, fix it, and then he just starts laughing like an idiot, and then I'm just like,
Punches
Gets
him.
as soon as
shit out of
I think it actually cuts to a shot of like his feet from the back
Yeah.
walking towards. I'm like, all right, here we go.
happen.
Is this no bullshit?
He's about to be a
I was-
badass.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
this is-
I
watch.
was like,
This
this
is
is
no
Tarantino
nonsense,
movie.
yeah.
I know some shit's gonna happen to this guy,
Mhm.
and it was classic. I
The
loved it.
sound of the punch
Take
on that
one
scene
more
too
step.
was just like,
Yep.
oh, that hurt. That
a little bit
really
of the
hurt.
crack, but then also it's like, can you at least give me a rag so I can clean my face? I was like, no,
No,
tire
Clean it
first.
first.
I was like, you're
Oh yeah,
a
tire
badass.
first. I mean, not clean it first.
Tire first.
Yeah,
Um,
that was intense. That was because he also just got from seeing his buddy George being taken total advantage of
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
sense.
Which is true.
yeah, which is a true story. That was a real thing.
And
George Spahn
what
got
was his name?
fucked.
Pinky or Squishy? Squishy.
Squeaky.
Squeaky was like who had
Pinky or squishy?
Yeah.
one of those two.
Neither.
She had like named all the people what they were, like Pussycat and all that shit.
Yeah.
Which is like
She really did. Yeah, that's how they
And
took advantage of George. She
it's-
just slept with him.
it was interesting to see the reality versus the fiction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inserting fiction into reality.
And I also liked any any scene that Brad Pitt was driving the car.
yeah,
Just like nothing really going on. He's just getting point A to point B. But
Like,
you get to
oh,
see
that's Forest Lawn Drive. That's
right. You
really
get to
cool.
see
Like,
Hollywood. You get to
Burbank
see
Boulevard.
LA. You get the radios playing with the commercials and
You know about that with the commercials and all that?
what?
So Tarantino wanted to recreate times that he was driving with his dad.
Interesting.
And he was saying before you weren't scrubbing through channels. You would like play a station and that was it. And when the commercials came out, you didn't turn it down or didn't change it. You would just talk over it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want to recreate that in the Hollywood that I remember.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Also, what was the Batman commercial about at the end? Was that just like a thing?
Yeah.
So at
Keanu's
the
convinced
time,
that
I mean,
it's
Batman
something.
was huge at the time.
Yeah, I
So,
get that.
I was like,
Yeah.
I think it's
I
just one
think-
more radio
I'll-
commercial, but you're convinced that it's.
I was like,
No,
going,
I think to me, Tarantino is very purposeful. I think it's actually like him talking about the end of Hollywood. Because he doesn't like superhero films. He doesn't appreciate like where mega blockbusters are because it's kind of like I think he kind of sees it as lazy. Where I mean, like in blockbuster films or popcorn films, right? And so like that kind of started it. The first Batman craze, like Batmania is a thing. If you look up Batmania, it's like equivalent to Beatlemania. And it started like where the blockbusters were for superheroes. And like there has been times where like he kind of has pointed the finger at certain studios and be like, your release of this film is tanking my film, and I blame you.
wow.
And it's like hit or miss.
Well, it's
whatever.
like stuff like Disney buying out Cinerama back when for whatever that was.
yeah.
That
And
was
he-
a cool shot, removing the stuff behind
Yeah.
the dome.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see like, oh shit, did they get
was-
the production design for that, or did they CGI remove that?
There was
CGI had to remove it.
during the scenes when they were like establishing shots of like going through Hollywood, like the scene where we saw the Cinerama Dome. There was an older couple that was next to me in the theater, and I just heard, "Oh."
Oh,
It just made me go, oh, they're remembering but a couple of things that another couple of things that I really love about this movie are kind of overarching is the way that the music was used. I'm a big fan of not just having a soundtrack that is just kind of like this
we got
outside
it,
of the
5.1.
movie, like there's a soundtrack. When it's mixed into the scene as well, like when they're driving and there's this song that is a part, it's the soundtrack. But when it flips to them inside the car, it's coming from the radio.
Yeah.
Or the final scene of the movie, they're watching something on TV, and the soundtrack of what is happening on TV becomes the soundtrack of the scene.
Right.
And it wasn't horror-y, it was like suspenseful.
Well-
And it was, for me, that's my favorite kind of, if you're really going to
Creative,
use sound
get creative with
design and music, like I believe like
anything called love?
when I work on a film
Wow.
and somebody will say, oh, we'll get you the music later, I'm like, then I'm not going to start yet because I need the music, because the
Yeah.
music might inform a sound design decision. And so it's always, I love when it's used
Right.
Right.
in a creative way.
I've talked about this before. Do you remember the code word or the hot word? Diegetic, diegesis. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Forget what it means though.
So Scorsese will quote it, and I think Tarantino is definitely a disciple of him, as well as a French filmmaker though. Meaning is constructed out of what's in and outside of the frame. Diegetic music, diegetic sound is from what's inside the frame, and non-diegetic is outside the frame. And so what he's doing, he's meshing those two meanings together. Like, what else is he doing? Creating meaning between the fiction and nonfiction.
Right.
So like those are the things, again, not a lot of filmmakers do nowadays, which is like, it's so refreshing to see someone that's actually intent and purposeful and not just slapping a fucking song on something.
Yeah.
It's like in it's in Endgame where they show Chris Pratt dancing.
Oh,
And like you think it's the title of music again, but then you realize that it's what he was listening to, and when it cuts and it's just him on his headphones or whatever.
Yeah.
I also appreciate Tarantino's the design of credits.
Yeah.
That was
Title
really cool.
sequences I just love, because I actually, these movies of like the 60s and the 70s, there were a lot that I grew up on, and you just remember like the way that titles were designed, and I'm always like, I just love how he plays homage to those.
And that, to me, what's the one thing the Academy Award fucking loves? Themselves.
Yeah.
So this is for sure going to get like a fucking Best Picture nom.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no doubt.
It's a little sad because if you make a movie about LA at all, fucking you're there.
Collateral.
wow.
Two little fun facts about this movie. There's two little
Factoids.
one of them's not really that hard to spot, the Easter egg, which is the red apple cigarettes. They do a whole entire ad of it
Cigarettes.
during the end of it, which is amazing because those are in every single Tarantino film. It's like having the big Kahuna burger or anything like that. The other one, which was a little more under the radar, and fans of Inglourious Bastards might notice this, when he starts doing the Italian spaghetti westerns, one of the directors is Antonio Margaretti, which is who one of the guys, the three people impersonates in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
It was Margaretti.
Yeah.
So you have Brad Pitt who goes Gorlami, and then you have I think Eli does it, right? He's Margaretti, and so I just thought that was a nice little nod to have that in there.
It's
If
in that
anyone paying
universe.
attention. Yeah, same universe.
It's a universe that didn't have Hitler
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
because that director ended up making films.
He went on to go make
And then
films.
he probably
So
made-
my other question is, does that mean Charles Manson's still at large?
Maybe. I was going to say
Because
Maya.
I mean, there were a few other murders.
I was going to say
too.
maybe Maya Hawke grows up to become Uma Thurman and then gets
The
in
Bride?
a movie and made a movie about her, and then that works in the Kill Bill world.
So
That's awesome.
Can I ask to be the uncultured swine in this, in the sense of like,
You want to know about the Tate murders?
I didn't know anything about any of the characters, and like halfway through, I'm like, the only name I recognized was Roman Polanski, and as soon as it was said, I was like, oh shit, is everybody real?
So Rick Dalton and Cliff
That's-
Booth
I
are
couldn't
not
tell.
real.
Rick Dalton
Okay,
is
so
based
they're
off Stephen
fake.
Queen.
Everyone else is real.
Everyone else is real.
Pretty, I'd say 99.9%. Yeah.
Voitex,
What about the
JC
movies
Bring.
that they named?
No.
Are all real? Those
No.
are fake.
No. None of those are
the
real.
one with Leonardo DiCaprio losing to Steve McQueen
yeah.
is real.
That's a real movie that they put him in.
Right.
The Nazi one where it's like, I got a jacket, I'm a captain, you got 2 weeks. Where he's in front of like all the fucking internment camp, where the fuck it is.
He's talking to Timmy Olyphant. He's like, didn't you almost get that role? He's like,
Yeah,
not really.
But
That's a real movie.
that's a real movie.
But they put him.
They
in
put
it.
him. They
It
digitally
was like
erased
a
Steve
what?
McQueen.
It was another what if. Like they
Oh.
put him in that movie as
Yeah.
if he were in
But
it,
he didn't
Land
get it, though.
and
but he didn't get it.
No.
No, it's a what if. It's like they're
What if he
talking
had
about
got
the
it?
what if he had gotten it,
hypothetical.
what it would look like,
what would it be like if
him
he didn't go
acting
to
in
Steve
it,
McQueen?
that kind of thing.
Steve McQueen.
I thought he lost to it in the movie though.
He did.
He did.
He didn't
He's
get
saying it's a what if. He didn't lose it.
we're not seeing it in
Okay,
reality.
so let's just move on.
It's okay.
I lost something somewhere.
It's okay.
And then the show that they're doing with the beans and shit with the Dakota is a real show.
Yeah.
Lancer.
So like
Oh,
George Spahn was a real person, and that's really where the Manson family had their family
It's a trip
ranch.
to look at it.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that was all a
Okay.
real thing. Like the guy George really was
Was he supposed
taken
to be-
advantage of.
Was he supposed to be Manson? No, he was a real person.
George?
Yeah,
George was George.
The
George
blind- the
Spahn is
blind
the
guy?
real person.
Yeah.
he was a real person.
Played by Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
Okay.
The old guy.
Laura Dern's dad.
So who was Charles Manson in this?
No.
Yeah, he gets
He-
out of
he
the
was
ice
like
cream
a
truck and
couple
he
of
goes
minutes.
up to Sharon Tate's house. And he's like, I'm looking
Oh.
for so and so and
He's
so
looking
and
for
so.
Terry, and that's
Yeah.
a true thing because
Yeah.
Terry, like, and then they actually knew, and then he sends Charlie said to go to Terry's house and kill everyone in there.
Yeah, Charles Manson. He's
only
came
in
to
it for, like,
Hollywood.
3 minutes.
Oh, right. Because she kept saying Charlie would love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's Charles Manson.
Oh,
Charlie Manson actually came to Hollywood to try to be a star.
Mm-hmm.
He was a musician and everything, and it did not go well, and that's what kind of turned him. I mean,
Started hating Hollywood.
hating
And that was
Hollywood.
that whole
and-
thesis with the girl saying, like, we should kill the people who taught us
Yeah.
how to murder.
I mean, fun fact about the actor that plays Charlie Manson, for like a couple minutes.
Fucking
And we're
Moriarty.
getting a new season of Mindhunter, I think in a couple of weeks
Yeah.
or sometime.
Oh, no.
And he
Playing.
plays Charlie Manson in that as
Jesus.
well.
Whoa.
So
weird.
he's getting 2 years of like
we just
two
blended
things.
the universes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a Tarantino verse. But yeah, he's in it for a few minutes. He like
Okay.
waves at Cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On top of the roof.
and he actually did drive around in a hostess truck.
Yeah.
Hostess tinky truck.
Wow.
So on that night, what was supposed to happen
Mhm.
was I think it was 3 people.
Yeah, it was 3
Yeah,
people.
broke into the Tate house.
There was a fourth one that didn't actually.
That was
take
a real
part.
thing
But they
too.
knew Tate from something.
No, they just
No,
knew that
they knew that
people
Charlie
lived
sent them
it
there
was
to
the
carry
Location specifically.
in Terry's house.
Charlie said, "Go to this house and kill anyone who's in it." So they actually killed all 4 of those people who were there. I think they killed 8 people that night. 6 people.
Whoa.
I mean, people were pregnant.
Neighbors
They
as
killed
well.
But like 2 of them got out to the lawn, the front, and were chased down and killed out front with stab wounds. And Sharon Tate was murdered. Sebring was
pregnant.
murdered. The other 2 friends were also murdered that night. And all 3 of the people were caught. And that's how kind of they found their way to Manson and stuff like that. In a very
I wish I knew
shortened
that.
version.
I should have looked this up beforehand. I think I meant to
Well,
at some point.
here's the
but
thing: you
then-
got to understand, it's really big. Like it's a big story that with a lot of details that is interesting. Like check
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
But
To be fair, I was uncultured on this too.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything about Charlie
so I mi-
Manson.
I
or
missed out on the
Spawn
You
Ranch.
missed out on
Subversion.
the subversion. Yeah.
I would say like this. It's like
I kept waiting for.
it's like not knowing
to
that
do
who
something.
Hitler was. Not saying like it's as big of a thing, but
Right.
we're gonna come to an audience point where like kids are not gonna know who the fuck is Hitler.
Well,
Right.
I mean, I had a hard time placing. We'll talk about this in qualms, I guess, because it technically qualifies as a qualm. But like, what I was like, waiting for Margot Robbie's character to do something or for something to happen to her. I was like, what? Like,
So like
I was
okay,
having a
so
hard
if
time
you
placing
don't
it
know,
in
you're
the
like,
movie. I was
if
like,
you do know, you're like, oh, okay.
well, to me, I was like the classic Hollywood of when is she gonna run into Leo DiCaprio? Like,
Right.
I was waiting for that to happen, and I was like,
But for people who
They're just
did
separate
know
neighbors and
about
they're
that,
not.
every time she was on screen, I pretty much had a mini heart attack. 'Cause I
All
was
of
like,
our
she's
fingers
gonna get
clenched.
I'm
murdered.
sure, yeah.
She has no idea.
All
So
of
they're
her
building
butts
her up
clenched.
and building her up as this really sweet person. And the whole movie, you're like, she's gonna die.
Should-
To me,
should
like
we-
leaving that night, I
Should
was
we
like,
transfer into qualms since you're kind of bringing
yeah,
up one of yours?
I guess.
Skip
Well,
characters.
and
Yeah, favorite
Favorite
characters.
characters?
and-
No, we
favorite
can wait.
characters,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fine.
I was gonna say that
Way to
at,
derail
at
the
the
show,
end when he goes up the hill up the gate.
To see
To
them.
me, because I didn't know all
Now
of this
he's gonna kill
storyline stuff, no, I was thinking that Sharon is sort of this like fairy godmother almost sort of figure in that like she's going to grant all of, you know,
his wishes because
all
he
of his
wanted to meet
wishes.
Roman Polanski and all that stuff.
right.
I mean,
So-
that's the thing. It's
That-
once upon a
I
time
took
that
it
could have
away.
fucking
exactly.
happened.
So
This was
like
what I-
for me, that was kind of fulfilled in being like she didn't need to do anything because she just needed to exist.
Yeah.
To me, that
yeah.
was I was like, oh, he's now with the Mansons, like the family. Like I thought I was like next door. They're like getting more and more people to live with them.
Got it.
And that's going to be the Charles Manson. And like he's out of the frying pan into the fryer kind of situation. Where
Yeah.
now he's in the. But I obviously
Yeah.
didn't know.
But no, yeah, you could definitely look at it that way, where it's like
Yeah.
this is the
well, because I
happy-
knew like
Not your
Charles
way,
Manson
but
was
Caitlin's way.
some. I know
He
he
was
had
a
to do
part
with
of
the
it.
movie, but I had no idea like where.
Right.
Yeah.
Where,
I
what,
was-
or how.
to Caitlin's point, I was saying, yeah, you could definitely look at it that way, where it's like, yeah, it's a happy ending that Quentin Tarantino wants to give us.
Right.
Like with Hitler, it's like it's a happy ending he wants to give us. But
It's-
his is wrought in violence. This is like Rick Dalton's character gets to like, this is the best acting I've ever seen. And then fucking feel good about himself.
Right.
There's a little pep in his step. Good flash.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Josh just flashing.
I heard
us.
you say something.
No, I was just gonna say it's definitely worth looking into because the Sharon Tate out of all the Charlie Manson murders is the most well known, but there's a lot of interesting things leading up to it that you should check out.
There's a lot of
for
things that
sure.
say sources say this or sources
Yeah.
say that versus like what actually.
Well, there's also
happened.
firsthand accounts from the murderers themselves.
Oh,
and that's the
I
weird
don't
thing when
know
they
if I'd
testified.
be-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Cool.
the one that actually didn't, the fourth person that didn't actually take part of the murders was like the main witness to testify against them
Wow.
Yeah.
because she got to have first.
Which they
encounter
kind of
with
set
murders.
up.
She's the girl from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
My
Uma
Hawk,
Th- Yeah.
Uma Thurman's and Ethan Hawke's
For those of you who don't know
daughter.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Steve's keeps talking about it all the time. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
Favorite characters?
Characters.
Want to see the top 3 build
I mean, yeah, Cliff Booth for sure.
and then side character?
The dog. Brandy.
Not Kurt.
Brandy.
Brandy. No, he wasn't in enough.
Okay. Mine, Cliff, for sure. He's just a cool ass dude. I want him to be my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on fucking acid and he's like kicking ass. So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm fine. And when I fire him, he's like, it's okay, man. That's a smart decision. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, such a good ass,
so cool.
such a good ass dude.
So good.
And like, he's looking for tail. He gets the girl on his crotch and he's like, no, you're too young. And all that. So I was like,
Can I see some ID? And you're like,
yeah, I'm like,
Yep.
dude, he's a good ass dude.
You don't have any.
Went to go
'cause
check
you
on
ain't
George
18.
and she was like, hey, man, you don't even remember who I am. I'm just making sure you're okay.
We used to work together.
It's like,
just
I'm
checking,
Cliff,
making sure you're
Cliff
all right.
Booth. Rick, no. And I was like, oh my God. Like Brad Pitt was like such a
Smiling through the
good
whole
ass
thing.
dude. Second is who plays the little girl.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was fucking great.
She's
She
good.
was
amazing.
phenomenal.
Trudy
Like,
something.
she just rubbing on his lap, being like, "It's okay. It sounds like you're making me cry right now." He's like, "You'll live
I
in
haven't even
15
read it.
years," and he's like,
Pumpkin
"What?" And he's
Nothing.
like,
just
"It's
teasing
nothing,
pumpkin
pumpkin."
pie. Pumpkin
And
pie.
he's like,
I don't
Pumpkin
like names,
puss.
but I'll accept
Pumpkin
it.
puss.
Oh, and then she's like, "Are you like 12?" Like, "I'm 8." It's like, God damn.
We'll talk about that another time.
But she was really fucking good. And then, I mean, you have the fucking movie set meme. If everyone at home knows movie set memes on Facebook, that's like a famous meme now where it's like, that was the best acting I've ever seen in my life. And then Rick starts crying. And then we do that all the time where it's like editing audio. It's like with the podcast, it's like, there's no notes, Josh. You know, it's like, oh, so fucking good. You know, no more further notes, Ollie,
Yeah.
for your graphics.
Yes.
They're the best graphics I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yep.
You know what
It
I
is-
mean? You
it's-
just
I'm gonna use
cry.
that next time.
It's a real thing when you don't get notes. You're like,
Like Caitlin,
We did it all.
you nailed
right.
all the lip flaps. You know what I mean? Like, it's so good. Corey, you look nice today.
Couldn't find the actress's name. One last thing I want to say though is I love that they used actual Sharon Tate footage instead of placing
Instead of
Margot
replacing
into the.
her.
Anyway, I love that. That's a
Ollie,
little
favorite?
little message.
Character inside.
Cliff Booth. Side character. I really liked the dog. I think
Yeah.
The dog.
the dog.
The
Okay.
actual
Was it
weapon.
Brandy?
it's Brandy.
Brandy.
Randy.
I heard Randy
a
once.
little
Brandy
shook
another
Because I
time,
hadn't
was
heard
like,
the name in a long time, like just period. So I was like, oh, that's a cool
my
name for
grandma's
a dog.
dog's name, Brandy.
Mhm.
Had OCD with a tennis ball. Anyway,
Yeah, the dog had OCD with
Yeah.
the tennis
How
ball.
about you,
But I
Josh?
also like Timothy Olyphant's like his
Yeah.
reactions to like
yeah.
his outbursts.
I would say, yeah, Cliff. He's just so good. Like watching
Looking.
Brad Pitt, good looking. I mean,
He's cool as fuck.
good looking.
Also, when
New
he
man
looking.
crush.
when he jumps on the roof,
Welcome aboard, bud.
Oh yeah,
his
like
fucking
Been that way
stuntman
since
shit.
'99 for me.
parkour is up there.
beats the shit out of Bruce Lee.
Fight
that
Club.
was
That's
actually one of my favorites.
Dent in the car says something different.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
fu- And you know who that was, right?
The woman.
Yeah, the wife.
She was a stunt woman for all
She's
of.
from Death Proof.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's
Been in all of his movies as stunt woman, but he
And-
put her in the. He wrote Death Proof for her.
and he's been putting her
Wow.
into movies lately, and she was promoted to the like legit fight or the stunt choreographer for
Coordinator.
this film.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's great in
Um,
Hateful Eight too.
And then side, I would say, man, it's between the little girl and Timothy Olyphant. I'm a huge Timothy Olyphant fan. Just anything that he does, I'm like, he has subtle things that he does, and
Yeah.
he
Did you
just-
watch Santa Clarita Diet?
Yeah,
Did you like him in that?
I do.
thought he was
It's
phenomenal.
it's completely different
Yeah.
than what he normally does.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
I saw him beat the shit out of Emil Hirsch and The Girl Next Door,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and
So-
they were in this movie together.
That's true. Never had a scene.
I think my favorite is Cliff.
Yeah.
And side would be the dog, but if it had to be a human, I would pick the wife. I can't remember her name.
Is,
Janet or whatever it was.
Which wife?
The
Oh, Kurt
Italian
Russell's
one?
wife.
Kurt Russell's
Russell's
wife.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Janet.
Janet, I
has
think was
real
her name.
Her real name, I think.
No, that's not.
But yeah, like her coming in and being like, this dude murdered his wife. Why is he here? He dented my car. Make him leave.
Zoe Bell is the actress's name.
Yeah, Janet. Zoe Bell.
Their favorite
Get your
scene where
shit.
he just reframes what she's.
And then she's like, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, I'll handle it. Get your stuff, pack it up, and get off set. And you're like, love it.
Also, quick shout out, not even like a thing. All the fucking people in this movie.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere, fucking Harley Quinn, Kevin Smith's daughter, Danielle Harris is in this shit.
Dakota Fanning's on for like 5 minutes. and
Lena
you're like,
Dunham's in there. I was just like, whoa, where did all these fucking people who are not on the billing there? I was like, Jesus. And like Tim Roth was cut. I was like, fuck.
He was cut.
Yeah, do you see
Yeah.
in the title,
Said-
in the credits,
yeah.
it says Tim Roth cut.
That's a pain face.
in the theater, when it said Tim Roth cut, Ollie and I both heard someone go, "Aww."
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love
And,
Tim
like,
It's like,
Roth.
oh, that means they shot a scene and then cut it.
I was like, Tarantino, you forget about him since you got Christoph Waltz? Fuck.
No, he did Hateful Eight.
Yeah, but
He's
that
I-
character is very Christoph Waltzy.
Yeah, but I liked it. But I like. Here's
I
the
love
thing.
Tim Roth though.
I love Christoph Waltz. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But in
I heard that he hates him. No, I'm just kidding.
I did.
Just want to know what role he
He
played.
was the same fucking character in both the Tarantino films.
That's Tarantino's fault.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's 50-50, right? He's not written the same. It's written very differently, but it's acted the same. it's a 50-50 partnership with the actor and the director on that one.
I mean, if
I
Tarantino
think-
brings Jamie Foxx into a room and tells him to stop with that shit, I think he could
I
tell
was
that to
so
people.
Sure, he would have been great
happy.
in this.
I like how they
So
had to
happy
credit.
when Eli Roth.
I like how they had to credit Sharon Tate.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, for
Tim Roth.
likenesses.
They had to credit
For like-
Sharon Tate because she's in the movie technically.
Yeah, for likenesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
big deal with
interesting.
Hollywood.
It's not technically. I mean, they used her footage.
Yeah, she's in it.
She's in it.
For sure.
So now qualms.
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 Things we had problems with. You want to start
Do you want me to
first?
finish
Continue your
mine, I guess?
thoughts?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know
mean,
history.
I don't know history, so that's I guess on me, but I feel like maybe not.
It's on you.
On me because it's a thing being presented to me that should contain all the information. But
Like a cinematic universe.
sure,
I only agree with that 50%.
yeah. So that's the thing. It's like I'm conflicted
Snap.
too because I feel like I should have looked up a little bit.
If
and
you knew
maybe-
Charlie Manson was in it
maybe
and
it's a
you
bit
know
more-
nothing about Charlie Manson,
yeah,
that'd be like
Well,
going
I'm-
to see not quite a biopic, but a movie that centers around
right.
someone.
Well, I didn't think it would center around him, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was the only thing where I didn't know. The only negative effect that had was that I didn't. I was just
You didn't
like,
know what
I
to
don't know what.
expect
Well, I
of-
don't know what Margot Robbie's character was going to be or do.
Right.
So I
I would
was,
say you don't get the full effect.
well, I mean, but it was still a positive effect overall because I was like, oh, it's just the reverse of what's happening with Rick Dalton, so I can appreciate that, and it's just showing her like living her life right next door. That it's like Hollywood is that volatile that anything can
Yeah,
happen.
your
at
next door
drop of a
neighbor
dime.
can be an Oscar winner, and you're
Right.
like struggling to just you're doing the same thing.
right, exactly.
It's looking over the
So
fence.
that's
Yeah.
kind of how I interpreted it. So I guess I still got sort
Good.
of
It's still a good
Sort of,
interpretation.
Yeah.
what was intended, but I just missed that. I wish I kind of knew, so I would
Maybe
have that
subversion would be
suspense
there.
of like,
yeah.
oh shit, are they aiming? Are they gonna get the wrong? Like if I knew that, I would have been like, oh, are they gonna go to the wrong house and kill the wrong people? Like, and that's gonna
Yeah.
be interesting.
I was like,
I wouldn't.
I was
I
freaked.
wouldn't even say like it's
Freaked my milk.
commonplace knowledge and knowing it's a big event, and that's why I said it's like a
Freaking
Marvel
milk out.
movie.
but it almost doesn't matter because it's just like you understand what kind of movie this is. Like 10 minutes in,
yeah.
and you're okay.
well,
like I was okay
the
with
foreground drama is Rick Dalton.
right.
Like that's what it's supposed to be, and then you fall in love with Cliff Booth, and
Yeah.
then it's all on the background of the fact that like these are real events in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't get the full effect, it's fine. It's like watching Jaws and not really think sharks can eat people. They don't a lot of the
Right.
time,
Because it's like a slower.
Most of the time.
unless you look like a seal.
There's like longer scenes and there's a lot
then
of
they
just
usually
like
bite
hanging
movies.
on scenes because you're just appreciating Hollywood. So I kind of wrapped it up into that and is like, oh, maybe he never had an intention with that character and it was just kind of like just to kind of give you another slice of Hollywood.
So your gripe is against yourself? I'm just
I
kidding.
guess so. But that's really the only
50-50.
I think his qualms against his gripe.
that's
Yeah.
my
Wow.
That's
Wow.
what it is. A yin and yang. It's
guys-
it's a qualm. and
Yeah.
gripe.
well, you guys might bring something up. I don't know.
So when
that's
I
the only
watched
thing that I really had.
when I watched, I watched with Corey, and I don't know if it's the director's intent. When I watched it, fucking late at night because I didn't have any fucking time to watch it. The entire theater was packed, and during the whole Bruce Lee sequence, and I have a huge respect for Bruce Lee and the martial arts films and all the shit that he brought to America and shit.
Absolutely.
And the sequence in the theater laughs at every single thing that Bruce Lee said. And I was like, I don't know if it's because the way he's acted or it's the way that Tarantino intended how Bruce Lee to be taken. But
Yeah.
I
I
was
think
like,
that's your theater, dude. Because
Yeah,
that
no.
didn't happen at mine.
and I was just like, wow, like it's kind of like 300 people in this room think that Bruce Lee's a chump. And I was like, this kind of sucks. And I was like, I'm like here for the entertainment of it. And fucking Cliff Booth whooped his ass. And I'm going to say that out loud. And that was fucking great. And the fucking stupid, like, no, he didn't even touch me. Like, was fucking great. And I was just like, wow, that's really interesting. And I don't know if that was like, again, his intent, but it just plays off that way.
Well, because he loves Bruce Lee.
Yeah. I mean,
Tarantino's a huge fucking fan of
Well,
Bruce Lee.
I think that's why like it ended up being a daydream, and then he brings him out back officially to like more respectable, where he's like training people and stuff like that.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a flashback.
Yeah.
Of why
what I
he
mean.
wasn't allowed on set.
That's
And I
what he
mean,
means.
and it reveals a little bit more like there was factoids of like Sharon Tate did get trained by Bruce Lee to do action sequences because he was the be all end all like fight choreographer for Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because of his films, and then Jackie Chan like has his company in China now. But
Who also looked up to Bruce Lee.
yeah, so it was just that was an interesting.
So would you
side
say
effect.
that's more of a qualm or just like an anecdotal?
I think that's a critique. That's I realized it. It's like, oh shit, that's like the effect. I didn't have it on me, but I was able to observe it, and I think if
Yeah.
it's observable in a sample populace, then it's something to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely like when Bruce Lee came on. I thought that he was like viewed him as a joke, and that
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I was like really surprised that fucking jawline's strong as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, that
I noticed that too. I was like,
is what it
damn.
sounds like. That's.
Oh, no,
I don't. I guess I just don't understand the characteristic that made it a joke.
I don't know either. I will
Yeah.
say this, like, you know me, I don't fucking laugh at movies
No,
at
yeah.
all, which is weird. I don't know, it's weird. Even if it's funny, but like everyone in the fucking theater
I
was
think
just
it was the
laughing at
karate
everything.
sounds.
I don't know. It was like everything he said. It was like, I do this and blah blah blah.
I
I
don't
was
think
like,
ours did.
Jesus
They
Christ.
didn't laugh at everything. Maybe a couple lines.
I think
Yeah.
The only
he
part
was
they laughed at is
presented
when
as
Cliff
ridiculous.
laughs at him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
I think
I'm not going
that's,
to try to like understand what people found funny, but I just know that that scene caused actually a lot more laughs than I thought,
Yeah.
Mhm.
than I expected. Because Tarantino has a way with comedy, and I think Rick Dalton has a lot of comedy sequences in there. So does Cliff Booth, but that was just like uproarious, and I don't know if that's a side effect of what Tarantino would have wanted. It's like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to
Like
see
if he intended it to actually
yeah, like
be that.
he puts a lot of N words in his movies about slavery, and he's like, "Do you think I used less N words than what would happen, or I used more? Then you out of your fucking mind, right?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then some people find him as a racist, right? But it's like that's not his
Well, like-
intention. But that's just something to talk about.
Right.
Yeah. Like what if he was, because I've never watched anything that might be considered like a documentary on Bruce Lee.
Mhm.
Maybe I can understand why somebody might think it's funny. I think, because the way that they presented him is he was kind of
Over the top ridiculous.
over the top, almost just
self-righteous in a way.
self-righteous in a sense. And
He was super arrogant,
yeah.
like
Oh.
to the nth in real life.
because he could whip everyone's ass.
Because he could whip
for
everyone's
sure.
ass.
Yeah.
I mean, there were plenty of people who thought that, acting with him in a scene where they fought, this is where I'll show him that I can actually pin him, and they would do it, and then he would go 110% and like actually injure the person.
Oh.
So like he had his warm side too. I mean, there's the whole story that Jackie Chan tells where he accidentally hit Jackie Chan during a scene in the face and like came up and like cradled him. Was like, I'm so sorry. But anytime anyone challenged him as a person, yeah, he was arrogant as fuck.
Yeah.
So it's I wouldn't say it's a
Caricature.
Yeah.
It's really a part of who he was, but maybe the way.
And maybe
Yeah, I
not
don't know.
like, and this is another thing, kind of like what you were talking about, not knowing about Tate. It's like maybe some of the people are laughing because they don't know anything about Bruce Lee.
Could be.
And so it's like, oh, ha 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 ha, that's funny, or something like that. I don't know.
He's
Yeah.
I'm
badass
just
as shit. But
talking it out.
He was the top dog in Hollywood. That's gonna mess with you a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of like opened a lot of roads for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But then
I don't mean to belittle anything.
after-
He's one of my favorite.
Thanks for belittling me. So
People.
so after that,
Not you. I'm talking about Bruce Lee. I don't have a problem. with
Again, you
belittling
confirmed and he took it as a
Yeah,
pet.
thank you. No, I watched it with you. Anyways, they want you to take the roles, but the Sharon Tate thing specifically, I will say like it is a little interesting. Like she is in, highly featured throughout the film, but it's almost like she has no lines. A lot of it's
She's completely
gaze.
separate from everything that's happening.
Well, just no lines. Just no
Except
lines.
the scene in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, the scene in the theater when she's packing up and just dancing around with no bra and all lovey-dovey and shit like that. And then, like, that's it. Because you start hearing the music from her disc record player when Cliff is fixing the antenna.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, like, when she's walking around, I'm here to pick up these books. Da-da-da-da. 3 lines. And it's, like, a little interesting. I think it's again, it's not like this is fucking wrong because you do this. But it's something to comment about of, like, a way of how he views the reality and how it impacts his like story. Like I think he wanted to tell a story that was really important to, America and Hollywood, but using these fictional characters as a forefront and then kind of leaving as much as he can untouched, but then touching a lot of the shit at the end.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting flow and decision of where he wants to extrapolate on and not.
Yeah.
Articulate on it.
My qualm was the same. I wish there was just more for Margot to do. I think you could have included her in the same amount, but the caliber of scenes you could have given her.
Or at least
could have
include her in
been
the
bigger.
climax
Yeah.
somehow.
I don't need that even just because again
Just have some kind of payoff, I guess is what I mean.
well
The payoff is for Rick.
Yeah. So don't mean to like this is gonna sound
Your
weird
qualm
than
is
I mean it
stupid,
to.
No, I
Ollie.
know, I
You're
know.
But like for
invalid.
someone who did know the history about it,
Yeah.
getting her involved would have messed with the subversion completely. And I think the way it ends is fine.
Mhm.
But the quality of scenes littered throughout the film of her could have been better. More
Yeah.
interactions with people, learn more about her.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you care a bit more. Like if I had started to even care more about Sharon Tate, knowing or thinking she was gonna die, that would have made me even more stressed, and I think the payoff at the end could have been even better,
Yeah.
where she doesn't get killed. And you're like, oh my god, thank God! Like she was great. I loved her.
Right,
But at this point, I'm like, I don't really know her besides the neighbor.
But also, you don't-
as the neighbor.
At this point in the film, you also don't want anyone to fucking die.
Right.
And it's very gratifying to feel like, oh, fuck these hippies, right? Like exactly how the film wants you to feel about hippies, quote
Right.
unquote hippies. And it's like,
Yeah.
nothing against hippies, but against these family members,
Well, at
it
the
fucking
time,
sucks.
Yeah.
So like for me, that was my big qualm. It's just
Well,
like
this event ended the hippie movement as well.
Oh.
I mean, I'm still here.
in most of them, not in NorCal. The
Well,
Bay
in,
Area
in a
still-
sense, like
Haight Ashbury is still going strong.
the bigness that it doesn't.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
The size. The
Overwhelming.
size,
size
of,
of
the following.
it.
Overwhelming size.
So we're going to
Yeah.
get one with hipsters soon,
Yeah.
Great.
and it'll end the hipster movement.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's
God.
it. Just give her
Someone will die
more
via
scenes with
avocado
other people
toast.
to hear her talk, learn more about her. I mean, I could have even
Local
done more
brewery.
scenes with Jay and her. Would have been fine.
yeah. I had a
brews, IPAs.
I had a couple of I have a couple of qualms, and they're kind of nitpicky ones.
You have a gripe
that
full of
they
qualms?
didn't ruin my experience of it. It was just kind of I noticed that for the voiceover, either use it or lose it. It was hardly there. There was
The
a
narration?
narration,
Oh, the narrative.
but
Kurt Russell.
all of a sudden
Yeah,
it
Kurt
came up,
Russell.
and I was like, I'm not against voiceover and narration. I'm not against it at all. And so when it comes up, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, that was Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
also-
And then it went away, and then it came back later, and I was like, don't use it if you're going to use it for just like a tiny bit.
Yeah.
So that was just for me. That I was like, that was almost useless. I understand the information that it's telling me, but I would have either A, give me more of it if you're going to establish that there's a narrator, or B, just get rid of it.
See, I thought it was like ending the film
Mhm.
with that stuff because I didn't know about
The murders.
the murders. So I was like, I don't know when. And the movie kept going, and I'm like, okay, so you're giving me some, like, is it leading up to something? Do I need to know these times? Is it important? What's going to happen? Like,
Yeah.
So I kind of agree in a way of like, it was strange to hear it when I didn't know, when I couldn't piece together necessarily why I was hearing
Yeah.
the narration. Or it was
Yeah,
like,
they-
it's like
'cause
a
they could
minute
have
later,
maybe-
he's over here, and he pulled
They
up
could
at
have maybe
9:59.
put in some of that narration when they were doing the interviews with them in the beginning. Like, could have done some of
This
the
is
talking
Rick
for them.
Dalton.
Established
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
narrator
yeah.
was a part of this film. Like it was
From
like
the
it came.
get-go,
Yeah.
rather than just being like, here's a big old chunk,
Not,
here's a little chunk,
not to knock
and
down
done.
or anything like that. I just feel like with the narration, it's interesting. I kind of look back to Princess Bride.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't bookend the narration with this film like a normal narration would do. And a lot of filmmakers, again, like it's a frowned upon use of using a trope as narration because you don't have enough time to visually tell the story.
Right.
But the way they use it is kind of not in the, I forget the word, it's like untrustworthy narrator that like lies to you
Right.
versus like the character that
It's
lies
almost,
to themselves.
it's interesting because it's none of the information you were devoid of because it had on-screen times and stuff.
I mean,
So
the-
it was almost like a flavor.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the one thing that's like you are devoid of is like, oh yeah, he's my guy. He drives me around. It's like that's a lie. He lost his license and da da da. So
Yeah.
he has to drive
Yeah.
him around.
Yeah.
But then the other part's like, and then they drove back here and he did these spaghetti westerns and da 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 da. And it kind of to me it makes sense. I don't know if it's a good decision or not based on your flavor of what you like. The very end when it says "Once Upon a Time in Hollywood," I'm like, oh, it is kind of like a fucking fairy tale in a
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
where it's like it'll get flaked in there, whether it's done purposefully or tastefully. It's up to
Yeah.
someone else to decide.
If the
Yeah.
film
Fair.
started with it, I probably would be more accepting
Yeah, I didn't
of
even
the
make that connection.
interspersed. But yeah. My other qualm is, and
the credits,
no, it's gonna be so weird, but
the girls.
I love the dog.
Yeah.
I have this thing about the representation of pit bulls.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I had that same
Um,
issue actually.
that they're well trained.
No, that
Protectors.
I'm kidding.
I don't know.
Well, it was really
they're
only
always,
shown
they're
as a
always
violent
represented
dog.
as
Violent.
violent
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
attacking dogs, and
Well,
it's like
even on the canned food, it was like good food for mean dogs.
And
It's
it was
that's
like
not it wasn't
very
mean, it was
well-trained
super
dog.
Sweet.
it was a super sweet pup.
Mhm.
It was something that I was just kind of like, and it doesn't ruin it. I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm just kind of like, all right.
For
I'm
me,
just,
it because I'm the same way. I love some of the sweetest dogs I ever met were pit bulls, but I
Pitties.
did grow up with a Rottweiler who was the sweetest dog. But also, we had a ranch that needed to be protected and got broke into 4 times.
yeah,
And my dog protected us. So for me, it didn't affect me in that sense because it was a very when they broke in, guess what? The dog didn't do anything.
Right.
When they were holding guns and knives, the dog didn't do anything.
He put his hand out.
Yeah.
To pop,
Yep.
to stop
The
him.
only thing that happened was when he went, which was a
Right.
command. So for me, it was no different than say like a trained police dog or my dog Bear, who
Yeah.
I had on our ranch.
The qualm is a stretch.
No. I'm speaking
Same.
my end of it.
Yeah.
So on I just want to speak to the other side of the coin, where it's like, yes, I pit bulls being portrayed as violent is terrible, but I don't think this was that case.
It wasn't the purpose of it. It was just
in this case they showed it as a very loyal, obedient dog.
Yeah.
Right.
that just happened to be
a pit bull.
a pit bull.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
kind of
That's it.
like, I mean, it would kind of go again, coincide with like, I don't like Tarantino's use of the N word in a film with slavery in it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a side effect or like it happens part of it. Or like
Yeah.
when he shoots someone's head, 5 gallons of blood comes out of that
Yeah,
guy's
right.
head. It's like it's a violence and it's part of that thing. It
Channing.
doesn't have to be too much. Yeah, it doesn't. It's fucking ridiculous. You just saw a paint bucket just fucking poured
Yeah.
out. It's like Jesus.
I think the only thing that kind of bothered my only qualm, which turned into not a
Violence.
qualm, was the violence actually. But
I don't say that in the
as it was happening, because the whole audience is going, oh God, blah blah, because it just kept going. But then as I was thinking about it more, I was like, oh no, this is pretty justified.
Yeah,
Like
And it's
he's
mild
well,
comparatively.
well, no, he's also tripping on acid.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it makes sense that
was-
like he'd
But
be
it's
doing
yeah.
like a repetitive movement over and over again because he's having like that fear. He's like trapped in those like drug-induced loops.
tapping a knife that's in his ass.
Yeah, like he's totally out of it. And of course, Rick is gonna like use the only like
I thought he was running
overkill-
away and then he came out with a flamethrower. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, all right.
But I mean,
Yeah.
For those of us in Hollywood, it's the followers of one of the greatest serial killers of our time as well. So
Right.
it's like a therapeutic thing
yeah,
as
it's a
well.
release. It's like
These are the people who killed Sharon Tate
it's kind of
and many others.
we're kind
Yeah.
of getting a release of like, I wish this actually happened to
Its
them
own
because of what they
catharsis.
The
fucking
reason they
did.
burned Hitler
Yeah.
alive in Inglourious Bastards is the same thing. It's just
Cathartic.
like, fuck this
Yeah,
guy.
it's like, man, we can't do this in real life, so like we can try to glorify it now, and it's weird. And to me, that's why I have a very tumultuous relationship with Tarantino in his film, because he understands that people watch film and violence. I don't say like violence begets violence, but it's like he understands our primal need to see it and watch it happen for good cause. Sometimes it's to just entertainment value, but then with Inglourious Basterds, I think to a T, he realized like we need to see those things. Like when Christoph Waltz gets the fucking Nazi thing cut into his face, it's like, yeah, you motherfucker, you deserve this shit. And it's like, yeah, to that point, where it's like,
Outside of the cinema realm, it's not.
well, like
something that's-
Super not cool.
overdone
Yeah.
violence is like, to me, it's a little boring for me too. Like overly
Right.
done anything is a little boring. But then it's kind of to me justified, not because he was tripping on acid, but because of what he did to a guy who stabbed his tire. He like practically rearranged his face.
Right.
Like every punch had a crack in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God, don't even step on his shoe. Like he just
His
might,
boss's
he might
tire.
like gauge your eyes out on accident. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're talking about someone coming in and threatening him, his dog, and his friend.
Yeah. A guy who beat the shit out of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
That
You know.
scream also, as she was screaming and like running through the glass and stuff like that, that very much mirrored in Volume 2 when
Kill
she
Bill.
got her other eye
Oh, yeah.
taken. Forgot her name already. The actress.
Oh, I don't know. I know the bride.
Darla something?
Oh, Daryl Hannah.
Daryl Hannah.
I didn't know who you were talking about for a sec.
Yeah, when she gets her second eye, she's just like screaming all crazy, and then
And
she
running.
like runs into something or
Yeah.
gets killed. I forget what it was, but that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
agree
mirrored
with that.
that.
Any other qualms?
No.
Not really.
That was
Want
an
to
observation, not a quote.
rating?
Rating.
Some rating. So who has the least and who has the most?
Well, Ali would have the most, including the Patreon vote.
Yeah.
So I go last.
go
And then, actually, no, it's Kaylin and Ali are tied.
Nice.
And then it's Tom and Josh. So I go first.
I'll go last
yeah.
because I got the Patreon vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have been thinking about my rating this entire time because I'm comparing it to all the other Tarantino films. and
Everyone
where
at
I
home,
rate
this is the
those.
foreplay?
Huh?
This is the foreplay before you give us the big shebang?
This is the foreplay before I give you the big shebang. So for me, I am a huge Brad Pitt film fan, and to see him and Leo on screen together made me really happy. I love Margot Robbie.
Gave you a raging
wish
nerd
she
on.
got wish she got more to do because I think she's
Also,
super
we-
talented.
We all picked Cliff, but I think we all give a massive shout out to Leo DiCaprio.
oh,
The thing I really
yes.
love about him and his comedy, he plays the schlup very well.
who?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he is that in Wolf of Wall Street too. He's not that cool.
No.
Like he's kind of like
insecure.
Like he's almost like to me a better Jerry from Rick and Morty.
Oh, his second scene where he like redeems himself on set was
Cries.
phenomenal. And he's like, "Oh, are you okay? I didn't know to throw you down. I got pads on. Besides, I throw myself down for fun."
But also like how appreciative of everything he is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're not kind of an asshole.
No, he's not. I mean, that's the thing.
like,
He's
thank you
not
for the
really an
opportunity.
asshole.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't want him to die at the end. He's
Yeah.
just like a struggling actor who wants to
Do
be
well.
who he was
And
and be
everyone-
with his friend and like.
And everyone at home watching is like, that's not what actors really. It's like that's fucking what actors really do. And it's like that's the shit that they go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all in all, I would give this 4.5.
4.5. Write it down.
Yeah.
Next. Is that me? And
That would be
Me and
you
you.
and Josh.
I'll go.
alphabetical.
4.5. I dug it a lot. It's not perfect,
It's
but I
beautiful though.
dug it a lot.
It's beautiful.
It is.
4.3.
Wow.
I almost did 4.3. I was struggling.
There's a lot of great things I like about his films, and there's some taste that he does that I don't appreciate in all of his films. And it's the violence or it's the whatever dialogue, where the fuck it might be, might be gratuitous for me. But with this film specifically, as much as it was good and it was different from those other films, are the same reason why it's off-putting for me. And so I find that it's not as surgical as I thought it was going to be. But
It's a little messy. It's a
But no,
little.
I mean, the
it's
thing
a
is,
little 70s Hollywood.
yeah, but the tough thing is like this is his
Shaggy
ninth
Chic.
film. You know there's a lot of emotion behind this film for
Yeah.
him. This is really important. If anything, it's
He
more
worked on
important
the
for
script
him
for, like,
than
5 years or
than all of
something.
us.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's where it's like it kind of not for a bad point, but it's like he kind of just wanted to regale a little bit about like the things that he loved and talk about do a film that he really cared about. It wasn't like this is going to be like part of this trilogy or that trilogy. It was like this is this, but this is part of a trilogy too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like I could see it, and for better or for worse, I put that number on.
Yeah. I almost did the same number, but I think I figured out. I before the show I was struggling if I liked this more than Hateful Eight or not, and I think that's why it's a 4.5. I think I did.
Mine
Yeah.
is a 4.8.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
I super liked it.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Well, this is all downhill from here when you watch the other one. So
oh boy. Well, no, I because I didn't know, because I was uncultured swine about the Charlie Manson stuff and Sharon Tate and everything else. Like, I was purely going in for like Once Upon a Time, like it's gonna be kind of fantastical, but it's got that LA struggling actor. Yeah, I went in with the like it's a story. I wasn't expecting murder.
Yeah.
So when it happened at the end, I was like, whoa, shit.
Exactly.
Things are happening.
so we spoiled
Go back
all
and
of-
watch it again now that you know. Like read up
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Manson family and go
Yeah.
back. I'd love to see what you guys think.
I guarantee you,
Completely.
you're gonna have a Jaws feeling. Of like,
Even the
dum,
scene that
oh, I know.
dum.
the scene that he's on the ranch, the whole time I was like,
Oh my
fuck.
god.
It was like
the
I
whole
thought
ranch
Char-
thing was horrifying.
Oh,
I
no.
thought
to
Cliff
me.
was gonna die the whole time on the ranch. To
I
be
thought
honest.
Cliff was gonna get like
I don't
mauled
know.
and
Because I
murdered.
had seen the Bruce Lee fight. I'm like, he's gonna take him out, but it's gonna be really fucked up when he dies.
Well, I mean, I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but I thought he was gonna die there.
I was
Like,
also
when he's
ready
like, I'm gonna
to
check
see
on George. I was like,
be really dead and a mummy or something.
Yeah.
Like I was very prepared for it to go
Which again,
full horror
it's good
movie.
that there's that
Subversion.
surgical precision of like,
Right.
I'm gonna make you feel this at this.
that
fucking
suspense
moment.
was amazing at
Yeah.
the door with
Oh, it was
Dakota.
terrifying.
And this ain't gonna stop me. You're like, oh fuck.
squeaky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 4.8.
For me, it's a 4.7.
Wow.
Really,
Y'all wrong.
really enjoyed my time in the theater. Like I said, like 10, 15 minutes in, I knew what kind of movie it was going to be, so I just sunk in and I just enjoyed the ride.
Blew you away.
It didn't blow me away,
Oh, it's
but
not
it was
Disney.
like it was just really enjoyable. It got LA points for me because I'm a schlup and I'm like that. So I'm the problem of the Academy Award.
Oh my god.
Because I give it LA points.
That's for Tom.
Oh,
That's
it's
for Tom.
his
I made a grump
grump
sign.
hat.
Yeah.
You can't
Because-
see it.
And I can see myself watching this many more times. It's one of my favorite Tarantino movies for sure.
Oh, nice.
Um,
I
think-
agree.
Wow.
I think Kill Bill actually might be my favorite. And
Reservoir,
then
baby.
Reservoir
then,
Dogs all day.
this might be on top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So Kill Bill Volume 1,
think
Volume
about it.
2, and
Volume
Once Upon a
2's
Time?
not in the top 3.
Oh,
That's one
Volume
film.
1 is in the top.
that's right. It's one film.
Okay, then it's
The
in
whole
top.
bloody affair.
The whole
Yeah.
bloody affair is my favorite.
There you go. Awesome. So Tom's a grump.
Tom's a grump.
With a 4.3.
My power.
Just so I don't give our audience blue balls, I forgot I was going to talk about the audition process.
Oh, yeah.
And a few.
Oh yeah.
Few.
I had a note.
I'll do this really
Their
quick.
hand was
Me
still in
too.
their
I have
pants, they're waiting.
auditions circled in big old circle.
My
Everyone's
goodness.
gonna watch the movie audition.
So for give me so I can see the actor's name. Austin
Butler.
Austin Butler was doing a theater show in New York.
Theatre.
He had one day off on a Monday. Tarantino said, "I will fly you out to LA to audition for this movie." So he flew him out Sunday night, got a few hours of sleep Monday morning, went to a 12-hour workshop with him and Quentin running scenes all day. And at the end of the 12-hour day, he was offered the role.
Whoa.
AKA he really wanted him and he needed to make sure he was up to snuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there was a bunch of cut scenes. Harley Quinn's audition process was she had to write her own audition
Yeah.
and send it in on tape.
Wow.
Who else? The girl who played Pussycat,
Okay.
I believe did. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, girl who played Pussycat did a scene.
Margaret Qualley.
Sorry, not her. Who's the girl
Jesus Christ.
who thinks up the murder? Like we should kill the people who
Oh.
showed us how
yeah,
to kill.
she's from Better Things.
That actress said that she went to the cattle call audition for hippies for Quentin Tarantino's film. And what he did is he basically had like 8 groups of 4 running that scene. And he would mix and match them until it got down to this group he thought was working. And all 4 of those people got calls to be in the film.
Wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. He's like, I'm just going to keep running the scene. All right, you switch with her, you switch with him. Now try it. No, okay, you guys switch between these scenes. He was just playing like this like
Chess.
Russian doll thing of moving things around. And then he got to the 4 and he was like, okay, thank you guys at the end of this like 12-hour day again. And then they all 4 the people in the last scene got called.
Wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. It's just a very unique process.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because again, like I give a lot of credit to Tarantino because he has a lot of intention and control over it. Like a lot of that shit goes to casting directors.
Yeah.
And the casting director has to kind of know a little bit more what the director's wanting. I'm not saying the casting director on this is any different, but like how he still wants to be part of all that shit, and when he's having to produce it and he wrote it and he has to be the one that goes to sell it to the studio and shit like that. Like again, there's so many big studios that's just like, oh, we have a guy for that.
Yeah.
We have 12 associate
Quentin
producers for
gets
that.
to handpick everyone he wants.
Wow.
Wow.
You know? And I mean, you're talking about precision. That's a huge part of it. Is you
Well-
get the people can handle the thing you want to do in your mind. And then you go, yeah, I need them. Only them.
Well, I keep thinking about something that I was taught in acting school, and actually, Tom and I got the opportunity to speak with Andrea
Don't lie to
Romano
me.
at San Diego Comic-Con, and she was talking about casting from a sense of like you are hiring people to have a party.
Yeah.
You get to make a movie at the same time, but you're hiring these people that you're going to work with for who knows how long. You might as well pick
6
people
months,
that
sometimes
you
longer.
know you're going to jive
Enjoy.
with.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy
Trying to
working with.
ingest.
I knew it was coming.
So I think it's cool to see a casting process like that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like-
very theatrical.
yeah.
It's a very theater type thing. Like we're going to
Yeah.
do a 12-hour workshop where we just run different scenes and I'll see if you're good enough.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But then getting personally asked by Quentin Tarantino, well, do you want the role? Yeah, all right, it's yours. Like, wow, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then he flew him back the next day to go back to
Oh
the
my
show.
God.
And
That's
Monday
awesome.
night, flew back, did his show Tuesday.
Wow.
Damn.
So anyway, yeah, that was it. Just there's more. You can find a bunch online. A bunch of the actors did interviews talking about the audition process, but those were the most
Wow.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
The one weird thing was that the film was Bona Films Productions, and normally his films have been a band apart, which is a nod to a French film fucking maker that I keep forgetting about. But that knock really helped me forget it. But hey, if it's
I'm
gonna
sorry.
If it's gonna be in the audio, I gotta address it at some
Yeah,
point.
there
But
you
they stopped making films in 2006, so I was like really interested. Like, oh, but like I'm kind of just wondering where Tarantino's mind's at now since his ninth film and his production company doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah,
But he probably works out of another one.
yeah.
So I was just
Was
like,
it his company?
Yeah, a band apart.
Yeah, I believe so. Because it had the Reservoir Dogs. The
Dogs.
Dogs
Reservoir
The
Dogs.
dogs.
logo.
Oh.
Another lineup.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Godard.
Oh,
Jean-Luc
no, that's
Godard.
never mind. That's different.
Oh, okay.
Jean-Luc Godard, French filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
did his film was called A Band Apart, and it's like a band of outsiders. And
Got
then
it.
he made
Yeah.
his film company based on that because he gives a lot of credit
Loves
to the
that
film French
All right.
filmmakers.
Yeah. So there we have it, guys. That's
we
Once Upon a
complete?
Time in Hollywood. I feel complete.
I feel
Yeah.
complete.
Super complete.
Once Upon a Time, Nerd On.
Yeah.
Once upon a time and nerd on.
We finished and completed.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Oh well.
I'm completing all your cups.
Okay.
We're done.
Thank you, everybody.
That's me
everybody
wrapping it
for
up.
If you
listening.
haven't turned it off yet.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you. What did you think? If you saw this movie, what were your thoughts? What was your rating?
We got one of our fans to email us all their ratings for our movies.
Yeah.
Recently. So we're collecting those.
They went back through
We
all
wanna-
of the movies and
Was
sent
that theirs? I
us-
thought that was a collective of ours.
No, it was
No,
their
theirs.
ratings. So I would love if y'all want to send those in. We can average them out. We need at least, I'd say, 10 before we can do it.
Yeah.
Accurately.
Does that include us or
No,
no?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just for the audience scores.
Yeah, because we talked about it in a bonus episode about the Nerd On Nation ratings and like a nation score. It'd be fun. But yeah, check us out if you are new to us, nerdon.tv. It has all of the information of who we are, what we do,
The linky links.
all the linky links, the
Links
website
not scripted.
stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Do share us with your friends, your family. Stop by iTunes, rate, review us. That stuff does help.
Nerd on Nation's on your side.
On that, you know the drill. As always,
Ending broadcast.